that because it could be, I always ask, do you have low back pain when you're walking, when you're standing, is different than when you have low back pain and you're just lying down. So we need to kind of figure out, what those limiters are, because that's actually going to help us. Is it a low tolerance thing, or is it an inflammatory or an irritability thing? Because that's actually what's going to help, identify what exactly it is that we need to do to those patients. So the tolerance anchors. So those are things that are usually somewhat related to longer duration types of activities. 80% of the workforce in the United States has to sit. And so that's a problem for someone who doesn't have a really good sitting tolerance, right? Walking is another one. We want people to walk. In fact, that's a challenge too, because it's usually something that we often recommend as part of our first line of, exercise therapy, or at least an ultimate goal as a result of that. And then we look at some of these other capacity things, which are more than just the day to day or the simplistic things, but being able to do a heel raise has an impact on your walking tolerance. Your sit to stand has an impact on your sit tolerance, as well as your low tolerance when you're standing up. And then we can look at some of these more quality ones, like some of the more advanced types of things. Maybe you're doing some advanced gait analysis or something like that. And that's where measures come in. I think these are hugely important. I've been digging in with AI Kinetics, great group. So they're using motion capture. Here's the best part. I use this, right? And today's modern mobile devices can even shoot at 60 frames per second, which may not mean a whole lot to you, but more details is what that's doing. And because of these AI-based platforms, it's simple. I literally can just shoot them either walking on a treadmill or have them walk by me, and it does a gait analysis. But it gives me data that I can actually show to the patient, because that's part of, those anchors that are important when we're justifying, the continued care, the transition of care, and the things that, we're actually doing to some of these patients. So balance, for example, really simple characteristic to understand. You can see the coloration down there, something really easy to show patients so they know exactly what's going on. Range of motion is another one. Pain during range of motion is another characteristic that we use a lot. But again, to be able to quantify that really easy is simple with this technology. Like I don't work for them, but I'm really enjoying what they have to offer because of ease of use and frankly a really low cost. So these anchors